I really do feel inspired by Black speculative culture because it opens up your mind about what is possible. And also, again, interrogates the past, and actually through catharsis and through interrogation of narrative, actually allows us a space where we can actually distance ourselves from that trauma and move forward, hopefully. So I basically created a graphic novella of sorts about a character that could live in the period room that Hannah Beekler and the team were putting together. First of all, I thought about the period room as being like a ship, like a mothership, because that particular allegory is used a lot in Afrofuturist thought. And also the idea of like time travel is something that's really potent in Black speculative culture because of the fact that, you know, sometimes Black speculative fiction has the added burden of trying to fix the past to actually be able to move forward. So it's a little bit less escapist than say you're oh, I'm exploring time and space. Like, no, like first we have to actually fix the trauma of the past, which in a certain sense, that's what the period room is kind of alluding to. So I really like the idea of a character like Dr. Zora Nova that I created that can go back and forth through time and actually collect these artifacts for future generations. So as far as like the creative process, I work primarily digitally now. I did a lot of research on different techniques. I use a lot of textures and things of that nature. A lot of my work is centered around, like I said, different aspects of the Black body and technology. My studio is my iPad, essentially. I can work anywhere. And a lot of the pages were actually just drawn on my couch, you know, while I was watching my toddler. And I did have some collaborators, actually. I thought I wanted to use like a more realistic standpoint. So I had my friend Nicole Williams model for another friend of mine. Her name is Tarji Stewart. She's a photographer. So they together actually like shot photos that I described. So basically what I was doing was, I need the particular character to be in this position. Can you shoot the character in those spaces? And I used those as references. Another collaborator was my friend and former student, Rob Mock, who shot these really lovely images of textures while he was traveling in Nigeria. And so I use a lot of those background textures as ways to kind of implement samples from the motherland, so to speak, into the comic. So it actually has like layers and layers of actual African wall spaces, you know, from Nigeria, which I thought was a really cool touch. I think it's a really interesting way to interrogate different aspects of what has happened to Black folk in the African diaspora. It's a way of reclaiming the history of the past, the history of the future, actually. Because a lot of times when you look at science fiction, there aren't any like people of color at all in like the classic sci-fi. So it kind of like really reimagines what a Black future could look like. I was very honored to actually have my work connected to such an amazing project. I think the project was brilliant. I was like, oh my God, this is exciting. And I think it's really bold that the Met actually decided to do something like this. And in such a, it really just kind of turns the idea of the period room on its ear, you know, because this particular space is all periods, but it also relates directly to the fact that the museum is a liminal space, and it takes advantage of the fact of the museum being a liminal space, but usually not necessarily speaking about like the Black experience in the diaspora or in America. So I think it's a pretty radical idea. And yeah, and I'm hoping that people, when they come through the space, will be inspired like that and actually really take a hard look at, you know, the legacies of Seneca Village, the legacies of that space, and what it means to be fortunate to have a space like the Met to actually be able to do something like this. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Again, my name is John Jennings, and yeah, I'm signing off from my period room here in Riverside, California.